in Ohio, on 1600 AM WULM in Springfield, and on 88.7 FM WHJM in Anna. In Pennsylvania, on 88.1 FM WHHN in Hollidaysburg. In Texas, on 1250 AM KDEI in Port Arthur. And in Wisconsin at 91.3 WRMW in Peshtigo.
You're listening to Radio Maria, a Christian voice in your home. When I present our program, Putting Faith and Hope in Your Job Search, with your host, Robin Brun.
Good evening. Putting Faith and Hope in Your Job Search has been designed to provide tips and techniques to help job seekers and their friends and family members who want to help, but just don't know how. Each week we cover various topics related to the job search, from dealing with the emotional aspects to websites that can provide valuable information, or to using social media for networking. But the other part of this program has been designed to nurture your faith and spirit, which can be challenged during this difficult period in your life. Now each week I start our program out with a reading from the book Devotions for Job Seekers, written by Richard Malone. At one time Richard was struggling with his own job loss and wrote this book to provide hope and encouragement to others. The title of tonight's reading is Rebuilding Your Self-Esteem. You were rescued from the useless way of life that you learned from your ancestors, but you know that you are not rescued by such things as silver or gold that doesn't last forever. You are rescued by the precious blood of Christ, that spotless and innocent Lamb. Peter 1, verses 18 to 19. 3 months after I lost my job, I remember telling someone that I felt I had been stripped of my self-esteem. My perception was that my work had been of significant value to the company. Losing my job meant there were some, particularly those immediately above me, who didn't see my worth in the same light. When I tried to resolve those differences in opinion, I was repeatedly told that they were right and I was wrong. It was like baseball scoring. If the umpire calls you out, you're out. It doesn't matter if you even have a videotape to prove otherwise. If you don't agree, read the box score the next day in the paper. The way he called it is the way it is. As I read scripture, I learned that I had a problem when I based my self-esteem on what I thought I was doing for the company. When they took that market value away from me, I didn't have much left. Getting my value from an employment contract didn't work for long. Peter points out that God places value on me for who I am, not for what he can get from me. God established my worth when Jesus died. No job loss can take that away from me. The company places value on me for what I can contribute to the bottom line. It's a business deal. God places value on me because he loves me. Love is its own bottom line. God says I have his love no matter how much I mess up. The cornerstone of rebuilding my self-esteem is God's love. Your work matters to God. Your work has intrinsic value because it's you mirror the God who is a worker and who created you as his co-worker. And your work has instrumental value because it's one of the primary means by which you love God, love others, and love yourself. That's from Doug Sherman, Your Work Matters to God. Father, I know that through Jesus Christ, you offer each one of us a whole new way of life. May that way extend to our work life. Rebuild our self-esteem with the confidence that comes from knowing how much you love us. Now, as we start our program, I just wanted to remind you that you're welcome to call in at any time. If you've got questions, if you have comments, prayer requests, whatever you need, this program's been designed for you. That number to call in is 866-333-MARY or 866-333-6279. One of the most damaging aspects of losing your job is what it can do to your self-esteem. It doesn't matter what the circumstances or what title you held or the position. It affects everyone. It can hurt your self-esteem and your confidence. We can also fall into the trap of comparing ourselves to others who may not have been affected by the changes that caused you to lose your job. We just feed that self-defeating self-talk that we're not good enough, not smart enough, talented enough. Well, tonight I have a very special guest with us. He too has struggled with his self-esteem from devastating setbacks and loss in his past. But he used these situations to search for answers, to seek the knowledge that he needed to turn his life around, and has since shared it with thousands of others who wanted to regain their confidence and believe in themselves to achieve their dreams. Let me tell you a little bit about Aaron David Spiegel. Aaron has been studying the science of personal achievement for over 20 years. Now, I just met Aaron last month, but have known of him for years. At one time, my son Kevin worked with Aaron, and he used to tell me about this guy who was always reading motivational books and listening to positive programming in his truck. Little did I know then that one day I would be a host of this radio program and that Aaron would be a guest on my show. Now, the reason that I asked Aaron to be on the show tonight is because he's been able to apply what he has read and studied to his own life and has been able to help others change their lives and achieve their dreams. No matter the circumstances, whether you're looking for a job, in a job you want to leave, or just want to make changes in your life, I think you will find his message, his ideas, his philosophies inspiring and motivational. Now, Aaron, for the past 6 years, I've talked about the importance of positive thinking in terms of your job search. I've encouraged our listeners to write down positive affirmations and to focus on what they've accomplished and not what they've lost. I've also talked about visualizing being in that ideal job. I've quoted Earl Nightingale, and the author of Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. What the mind can conceive, it can achieve. But talking with you, I could see that you've done more than that. You've adopted this thinking and made it a way of life for yourself and for those you coach. Your passion around this topic, I know, will be a blessing to our listeners, especially if they can take what you'll be sharing with them to heart and apply it to their own life. So many of my clients that I'm coaching are afraid of failing or think they're not going to find a job. I hope tonight, Aaron, those negative thoughts and feelings disappear because of your passion and expertise in helping people to change their thinking and mindset. Our listeners tonight, I hope that you will grab your notebook, something to write with, and get ready to listen. Aaron, thank you so much for being on tonight. I want to welcome you to Radio Maria, and once again, thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to join us and to bring your hope and inspiration to our listeners.
Thank you so much, Maria, or Radio Maria. Robin, it's an honor, a pleasure. I'm excited to be here. Obviously, you heard just that second, I was a little bit nervous maybe, but I really am excited, and let's dig in.
Okay.
What do you got?
Okay. Well, first, Aaron, I think it would be helpful to our listeners if you could tell them a little bit about yourself and what has led you to be considered an authority on the law of attraction and how this has helped your life. So you may need to explain to our listeners first, what is this law of attraction if they've never heard of it, but how it's influenced you to the point that you're a guest on a radio show.
Well, the law of attraction is pretty much, it's just like attracts like. So essentially when we think something or feel something, we're attracting the like back to us, into our lives. So I want to say it's based on the Bible. I'm going to say it's definitely a biblical principle because it's the same concept of ask and you shall receive.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I'm 43, and when I was about 19, I read my first self-help book. And from there, it kind of got me going, wondering what else was available, because it was some of the stuff that I had never experienced or learned. I was pretty young at that point. So the next book that I ended up reading was Unlimited Power by Tony Robbins. And that kind of gave me a feel that, wow, I have some control in my life. Now I'm going to fast forward some years, because even if you have the information, you know the information, you're practicing the information, our minds are so complex, and we have so many influences around us on a regular basis that we can fairly easily get off track. So, I've been off track, here and there, and I'm sure I'll still get back off track. But what I, what I have found is some tools that can help us to stay on track, and some tools that can help produce immediate change.
Excellent. Excellent. And so when we think about how this applies to job seekers, one of the things that I see in the people that I'm working with is that they've been many times so hurt by the loss of the job, or even those that are in jobs afraid to leave because they just don't have the confidence, whether it's a bad boss that beat it out of them, or all kinds of influences can cause people to have self-doubt. And thinking about what the mind can conceive, it can achieve. And some of the books that you've read, and I want to go back to that in a minute, our listeners, what I so hope that they'll understand from our talk tonight is that you do have control of what you think. And when we start thinking in a certain way, it can help shape what our actions, and our actions then can lead us to the things that I've ultimately always wanted but didn't know how to go get. But without the positive thinking and the belief that it can come true, that you can achieve, that you can get a job, that you do have value, people can lose that sight of that. So that, talking about Tony Robbins and some of the books and how they've influenced you, in your career, along your journey, I know at one time my son worked for you, then you were a fitness trainer and applied some of this to your students. Can you just share with us some of those tools that you applied and what you saw in them? Because those changes can also apply to someone who's trying to have the courage to go to a networking meeting, or apply for a job, or speak with confidence about their skills in an interview. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's absolutely true. What I found is belief is the most important thing that we have. It's the belief. Wherever our focus goes, this is, generic, okay? Wherever our focus goes, energy flows. So if we can convince ourselves, this is the challenge, to convince ourselves to believe that we can be successful, then when we can do that and we can actually start to feel that we are successful, we will see success manifest around us. It'll show up in our lives in different ways. And you said something a minute ago about I lost it, but it's essentially whatever we believe plays out.
What the mind can conceive, it can achieve is probably what I said. That may be what it was. Yeah. What you're thinking about can become.
It can conceive. The practice then is to envision yourself into the situation as it's already done, and that's the biblical. That's when it says, I think it was in Matthew that you said 3:15 maybe, that when you ask in faith, that's the faith, that belief that you can actually achieve it. That's the faith. And the greatest way that I've found to strengthen that belief is to literally imagine yourself into the situation fulfilled. So if you're looking for a new job, imagine that you've got this new job, and imagine what you're going to be dressing like and what your friends are saying and what your mom said to you and said, oh, congratulations, I heard you got that job. But that's where we start. We start imagining, and that helps to strengthen our faith, because once we can clearly see a picture of ourselves in that situation, then we'll start to feel that it's actually true, and miraculously, by God, those things start to show up around us, or opportunities. And that's what you said. You said something about, it'll prompt us, or you'll be able to get yourself to, or whatever the case may be, to take action. But when you imagine yourself into the situation, like magic, you don't have to get yourself to take action. You are compelled to take action. So once you imagine it, then you'll take the right actions for that to start playing out, intrinsically, unconsciously, not intentionally. They'll just come to you. They're second nature, or they just happen. So, but the big challenge is that it works the other way too. So if you imagine things going all wrong, and you imagine being broke, and you imagine, I've seen my life change literally in a moment by changing my imagination and the faith that I have behind that, literally in a moment. And this is my study, and this is what doesn't mean I'm good, like I'm perfect at it. It doesn't.
None of us are perfect at it.
Yeah, it's just been a practice for me, so I'm very aware of my own thoughts and how things go. But I can literally feel broke in an instant, and then through an awareness of that, and then a change of thought or state. I'm changing my state, essentially. And when I change my state, I bring about that state. So if you can be in the state of affluence, or be in the state of abundance, what does that feel like? What does it feel like to be abundant? And you can get there and stay there in your imagination, regardless of what you're seeing around you. That's when you'll see that abundance start to play out in your life, which is awesome, because that's what helps to build your faith. Because then you're like, oh, this is working, this is working, this is working. So it then becomes a little bit easier to believe. You say, Napoleon Hill said, if you can conceive it and you can believe it, then you can achieve it.
Yeah.
So I've always found that believing is the hardest part. You can conceive it, but then can you believe it?
And really take it in.
Can you believe it? That's the question. So that's that's what I always point people back to. All my clients, I point them right back to that. I say I bring people back, because we get lost in the world. We get lost in our job, or lack of job. We get lost in our, it could be chaos of family. It could be, whatever happens. You see an accident, you get a flat tire, you stub your toe. It doesn't matter. Those things then steal our focus. And what we're focusing on, we're creating more of. So
there you go. Yeah.
If we're,
self-fulfilling prophecy type.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. It's all, this is the message of Jesus. This is the message of Jesus. This is Christ's power, our ability, when we accept that, our ability to manifest destiny, create the life of your dreams. But it's not, that's like way major, okay? Because for some people, it's just like, I got to be able to believe that I can get up out of bed today, Mm-hmm. So you start where you are. It's not like you just say, okay, I'm going to be a millionaire, because that's almost inconceivable. So we start with little baby steps, and that's what I've done with every one of my clients. I take people from wherever they are to where they want to go. So whatever their goals are, and in this case, we're looking to find a job or potentially start your own business. This might be a great opportunity for somebody to start their own business that has been fearful of, rejection, or the unknown is huge.
Right.
But the world we live in today is so phenomenal, because we've got this thing called the internet, and there's so much that we can learn on the internet, and there's so many resources literally at your fingertips when you get online. So any question you have, Google has an answer. You've got Robin here, who you can call in here. I know she does coaching outside of this station, outside of here, where she helps people put together resumes and what to expect in the job market, and also helps change your mindset for that. So mine's a generic, but she's specialized in being able to help people find and achieve the job that they want or the career that they want. But it's all the same information. It all starts with belief, and like I said, my expertise comes in having studied and found some most basic fundamental principles and guides and practices to follow to achieve anything that you want, anything.
And that's what, that's the part to me when I met you that was so real, is that you've embraced those practices. I have encouraged people to write affirmations. You encourage people to say them out loud and write them and repeat them, and so we're going to talk about that. But before we go there, I did want to capture some of the books that have influenced you, because you and I had talked previously and we've read a lot of the same books. You mentioned one by Tony Robbins. Are there other books that you would recommend to our listeners who, Aaron, have never heard this type of thinking before, that might be helpful?
Of course, Think and Grow Rich is like a staple norm for people, and that's by Napoleon Hill. But that's essentially, it all comes down to the practice of that ask and you shall receive. It all comes down to the practice of faith. Whatever we put our faith in will bring about in our reality. Unlimited Power was huge. I mean, it's great for compelling you into action. Tony Robbins is phenomenal at getting people to
He sure is.
at getting people to do. Anytime that I feel like I'm lacking in my action in my life, like I need to step it up, I'll throw some Tony Robbins in, and
It gets you going.
absolutely, every time.
And you can get his books and tapes probably at the library, so you don't have to buy it. You can probably get these things at the library.
And if you have access to a computer, then you can listen on YouTube or watch
there
on
you go.
YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube is phenomenal. It's a phenomenal resource for anything. The Bible is the number one source for any of the books that were written. It's the number one source. It is the source for where, ask and you shall receive. So all these other books, they're just taking the principles of the Bible and putting them into terms that people can understand. So some people can't start into the Bible and read it and have any kind of clue as to, what it means. But if you go into the Bible just knowing, just like, I want to say, asking for guidance or asking for understanding, or just give me something, make something speak to me through this with your intention going in, then you'll pick something up. It doesn't matter where you start in the Bible. You just put your finger down and you're going to pick something up that you can apply in your own life, because this is reflection. It's what it's speaking to you. You're reading it and it's speaking to you. So it then can give you this, what I know we have is this intrinsic, knowledge of what is right and what is not right. Mm-hmm. So it brings us back. That's what the Bible does. It's like, a book version, or I'm a human version of the Bible. I bring people back. So, but the Bible is it. There's another one, a really good one by David Schwartz called The Magic of Thinking Big. And that takes you from the concept that, I got to pay rent by the end of the month to I want to own a house. I want to own a house. And if you own a house, then, and it doesn't have to be material things, but it's to think bigger, because we limit ourselves, and it's not our fault. We limit ourselves based on what we've been told in the past. Somebody said, you can't do that, or you're no good. If a boss said that you suck at this job, then, oh well, because when you learn that it doesn't matter what anybody else has to say, when you start looking within and realizing that you are perfect exactly how you are exactly where you're supposed to be right now, then you can let some of those things just kind of slide off your sleeve, because you realize that they're not in control. You're not completely in control. God's in control. So the past does not equal the future. That's a great quote from Tony. The past does not equal the future. It doesn't even matter what happened yesterday. We can literally change our way of thinking right now and change the course of our tomorrow. Literally. Two different realities based on the beliefs that we have. Because if you believe that you're never going to find a job, and that it's such a hard market, and whatever I don't know how to use this, I don't know how to use computers, I'm terrible at computers, whatever the case may be, then your brain just says for you automatic, okay, well, you're not good at computers, let's not try that. Okay, obviously it's too hard, we're not going to really push into that. But if you say, I can do this, and I know that there's a place for me, and I know that, I've got this skill set where people can benefit, or this companies can benefit, or whatever the case may be, you don't even have to be limited by that. You can just say, I want to be an astronaut. And if you really have faith and you start, pursuing that, and you start, I'd say, praying about it, but praying being ask, and then thank God. That's the faith. You step into it in your imagination. You just thank God that you've got it, like it's already done. Ask and it is given. So, whatever the case may be, our practice is to imagine ourselves into the situation. That's our practice, because everything takes it, and then all of a sudden, you're like, back to this world again, and we're out of our spirit, out of our Christ consciousness.
Well, I think that it is so easy for people to get caught up in all the discouraging messages they're getting from the job search process, and then they do start to believe and listen to that. So I think the message that you just shared in terms of thinking and seeing yourself in that job, believing that God has blessed you with gifts and talents, that there are opportunities for you, and maybe this one wasn't the right one, and not getting hung up by any rejection that you get, and keep focused on the opportunities that are coming. And I love the quote that you shared from Tony about the past. I forgot what you said.
Past does not equal the future.
Yeah, past does not equal the future. And maybe you should write that down, our listeners. Usually we take a break at this point. If we've got a couple minutes, we're going to stop and listen to some music. That'll give our listeners, if you want to call in, time to do that. That the number is 1-866-333-6279. And we'll be right back.
Gift the world will ever find, a perfect life that knew no sin. You gave in sacrifice, glory traded for my shame, your love for all mankind. All the hope of heaven set before you will be forever mine. Lord, I stand amazed by the cross of death and sin you overcame. Grace has broken all my chains. Your mercy stood in my place. All for me you gave your life away. When I don't deserve a thing, I stand amazed. You're the greatest joy that I will ever know. When I face my fears and darkness, I trust you are in control. So I surrender all my life, and all of me I'm letting go. Now I know that you are for me. Nothing is impossible.
You're listening to Radio Maria, a Christian voice in your home. We now return to our program, Putting Faith and Hope in Your Job Search, with your host, Robin Brun.
Welcome back. And if you're just joining us, I have a special guest on the show tonight with me. His name is Aaron David Spiegel, and he's been sharing with us some of the lessons that he's learned from great authors like Tony Robbins, and I know he's read many, many books on the law of attraction and on motivation and self-development and personal development. And so he's been sharing some of the things that he has used in his own life as well as a coach. He's been a fitness coach and trainer and has been able to help people make changes in their lives. So if you missed us, welcome back. If you have questions, you're certainly welcome to call in at 1-866-333-MARY or 1-866-333-6279. Now, Aaron, one of the things that I did want to get you to share with us, I have often talked to our listeners about the importance of positive affirmations and writing them down and using affirmations and starting the statements out with the words I am. So can you talk to us more about how you use I am statements, how you teach your clients about them, the power behind I am, and what that means to you and what you've seen it do for others?
Okay, I am, they said I am is, well, I've heard I am is the name of God. So essentially when we say I am, whatever we put after that, we're claiming by God. So we say, if you say I am sick, then essentially you're claiming sick, and therefore you can expect sick to show up in your life. If you say I am healthy, then you can expect healthy. It's not just the words that say I am. It's not just the words. It's the conviction behind it. It's the belief behind it. It's the faith behind it. So if you say I'm healthy and you're sitting there thinking, but I'm not, I'm sick, then you're negating that power and literally producing that in your life. So we have to stay steadfast in our faith, and that doesn't mean that you can't waver, you can't have some lack. You kind of just got to put yourself so that you're thinking the right way more often than you're thinking the wrong way.
Because we are human. It's going to happen.
Absolutely.
Nobody can do this all the time, but when you do, it makes a giant difference.
Absolutely. And you can get in what is called, they say flow by being in that, and everything's just going your way, and you're thinking all good, but things can break that too, like the outside environment. That's what I said. So what I do is whenever I have somebody new come in, I'll talk to them about beliefs, and I'm not going to go crazy into that. But our beliefs are essentially, I want to say, are given to us for the most part through our lives. And through happenstance, through people, through friends, family, teachers, whatever, we pick up beliefs. And some of them are really good, and some of them are what I call limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs are ones that say I'm not good enough, or I'm too fat, or I'm slow, or I'm stupid, or I'm anything that's gonna be against. I want to say this too. One of the things that I picked up somewhere, this is a little bit off, but with I am, something I read somewhere was never ever, or try to never say anything that you wouldn't say of God after those words. So if you say I am, how would you describe God? And those are the ways that you should be trying to describe yourself. I am love. I am caring. I am compassionate. I am understanding. I am disciplined. I am
Absolutely, that's it.
Yeah, I'm strong. I am whole. I am, so that's the I am. But a lot of times when people come see me initially, they're not in a really good spot. So to just say I am healthy would be a reach. It's one of those conflicting, it sounds like I'm healthy, but then you're like, no, I'm not. Everything hurts. I'm sick. I have a pain in my kidney all the time, whatever the case may be. And I'm not trying to downgrade that stuff because it's real, but what we can do as a positive step forward is start to say, I'm becoming healthier every day. And I always say every day on there. There's a certain real formula to being able to do this, and it's not just semantics. It's real, and it's creation. God made Word, and the Word is God. So the Word is just God carried out. So what we say is God carried out. I am becoming healthier every day. Typically, people can get a hold of that, and they can find some acceptance there instead of like putting a wall up immediately. So if you can say to yourself, I'm getting closer to a job every day, or if you can say, I am gainfully employed, that's awesome. But if you can't believe that, if you can't get yourself in that mindset of being gainfully employed, you can say, I'm becoming closer to being gainfully employed every day. I'm making all the strides necessary. And then all of a sudden, within a day or two, or maybe even immediately, you can start to see that light at the end of the tunnel. And the path will be presented to you at that point. So if you can literally see yourself as gainfully employed right now, if you can see that and you don't have a job, then the path will open up to you. That's it. That's that's the Bible. So the I am, what I have people do is initially write them down. I am, and in the fitness industry, it's I am becoming thinner, toner, and tighter every day, or I'm becoming healthier every day. And I will have people say that out loud. And initially, it's kind of hard. So you might not want to say that out loud in front of your friends or your family or, anybody. You might just go in a room all by yourself, or even right now, you can say it out loud. If you're listening to this and nobody else is around, you can say, I'm becoming healthier every day. I'm getting closer to finding my perfect job every day. You can say that out loud. And then you write that down. And it's a daily practice. It's not even, it can happen. I call it a mantra. So I've got this book called the Book of Mantras, and it essentially just gives you direction. It's a small little book, and it gives you direction on how to actually create your own mantra. But I've used mantras with every one of my clients. I've used it in my, and you call it affirmations. Mm-hmm. It's kind of the same concept. You're affirming, or I guess commanding in to this world, into this reality, this world of Caesar, those things that you want. So the challenge or our practice is to focus only on what we want. So we want to put it in positive terms. And you can apply it to anything. I'm becoming a better husband every day. I'm becoming a better wife every day. I'm becoming a better father, son, daughter, whatever the case may be. You can apply it in that awareness. That awareness alone is curative. We'll actually start to, if you say I'm becoming a better father, your ideas are going to start coming to you as to how to make that happen. So we write these things down. The reason we write them down is because as humans, we forget. From one moment to the next, we forget. So you might be all inspired right now, and you're like, hey, I can actually do something. I have some control. That's kind of cool. And literally tomorrow, or in an hour from now, after dinner, you're thinking about dessert instead, and you're like, yeah, I don't remember even listening to that program. Did I listen to that? And you could be so inspired in the moment. So you write it down, and you put it somewhere where you can see it. This is like, I can't emphasize how fundamentally important this one practice is above anything else that I can think of in this world. Anything else that I've studied, this is the number one. Focus. Where focus goes, energy flows. Ask and you shall receive. And when you start asking for better health, and when you start asking for a better job, or the right job, or a job at all, watch the opportunities just unfold. Just watch them.
Love it.
So you write it down. You can go further with that. You can look yourself in the mirror, in your eyes, and you can repeat that affirmation out loud. I'm becoming thinner, toner, and tighter every day. I'm becoming a better father every day. I'm becoming a better businessman every day. I'm becoming a better athlete. I'm becoming a better, member of society. I'm becoming a better member of my church. I'm becoming whatever the case may be.
Perfect.
So you can say that to yourself in the mirror, and some people aren't comfortable with that. I had a girl who I said, what do you want? And she said, well, these are the things that I wanted. One of them was she wanted to be beautiful. And so I said, okay, well, right, I am beautiful. And then I said, go ahead and look in the mirror and say, repeat back your list. She had 3 things. And she said, and she could not finish the sentence, and she started crying, and she was looking at herself, and she could not conceive that she was beautiful. And it was so sad to me, because everybody's beautiful, but the world and people and family and friends and people don't do it on purpose necessarily. They could, but beats you down. And so this is one way for you to redefine yourself. By God, you were given all of this by God. So whatever you're willing to claim, you can have by God.
And we know that God blessed every one of us
Absolutely.
with unique gifts and talents, that we're all uniquely and wonderfully made. And when we don't work to utilize those gifts that he gave us to serve him and to serve others, then we're wasting that. And so believing it, when we don't believe, it's like doubting that God blessed us with those things. And so we need to honor the fact that he did give all of us gifts and talents and claim them, as you said. I love the way you described the I am piece, because it supports that. In your book of mantra that you shared with me, there was some that someone shared, and I love this. She said, I am a child of God who can do all things through Christ. I am giving my body the nutrients and the fuel that I need. I am getting stronger mentally, physically, and spiritually every day. Now, that's a quote from someone that worked with Erin. And you can just hear it in the way she wrote it. And you take your faith and you weave it into these messages about what you want in your life and how that's going to affect you and your family and your community. And you believe it, and then you can achieve it. And so, Erin, I love it the way you position this for us.
The most exciting thing is when you actually put something down and then you see it start to play out. That's when it starts to get really exciting. I got chills just now because that's real. That's real. I can't emphasize enough this little practice, and it's a little known technique, and it's this is why I'm here. This is what God put me here for, is to spread this message, because in our society, we're not given this message. We're given news, and we're given chaos and crime and why things can't be done, and all that. I mean, if you watch the news or you watch TV, you'd think mostly that people are just not good. People are bad. But those are the highlights that we're given. That's just not true. It's just not true. So this is our ability to reclaim our God-given rights to be whatever we're inspired to be. Inspired means of the Father. So it's given to you by God. When you feel that drive or that impulse that you should do something or that you can be some way, that's given to you by God. And it's our responsibility then to follow that. But so many times we don't know how to follow that. This is the formula. You write that down and you write, I am becoming, or like mine, I have an I am, and it goes on for 6 minutes. I have it recorded, and it's just got different things in it that I've come up with over the years, because it's not just that you do this one time and you're done. It's that you can use this as a tool literally for the rest of your life to help keep you on center, to help keep you moving in the direction of those things that you want. So I feel like at this point in my life, I've seen so many of the things that I wrote down play out, and I feel like it kind of doesn't matter where I am or what's going on or what I'm doing or how I am, that I can't get too far off center. I can't get off of that center because it's instilled in me at this point.
That's right. It is.
Yeah, and
I
can't,
see it.
Yeah, I can't move too far left or too far right. As soon as I start to get there, there's some inside like thermometer thing that says, wait, the heat's getting too high. Let's kick it back down a little bit. But that happens without the I am statement too. That happens to people in their regular life based on their experiences and based on their beliefs and those limiting beliefs too. So would you rather be able to, direct toward the things that you want, or you just go haphazardly based on what you've been experienced or you've been given in this life? And it's like somebody described it as you're riding the river of life. You're riding the river of life, and all of a sudden you come to the waterfall, and you're 80 years old, and you're about to go over the edge, and you're like, what happened? Because most people won't take time to write this down. I'm saying write this down. I'm saying write this down. Write this down. Write this down. And still, how many times have I said that? And have you written it down yet? Have you written one thing down? Why don't you write down, I am, becoming, I'm becoming more faithful every day. I'm becoming closer to God every day. I am becoming closer to my family every day. I'm accepting myself more for who I am. Because one of the things that I've also learned over all my experiences, I've been through some times that are not good, and I wouldn't, be proud of myself for those times, for some of those times, or some of the things that I did in those times. But I also realized that I couldn't have gotten to where I am now without going through those times. So when you lose your job, you can say, awesome, what's going to come? Thank you, God. What's next? Thank you, God. And if it seems like hopeless, okay, we don't have to understand that. We don't have to get that. But what we can do is direct our focus back.
Absolutely. And I think, one of my favorite books that I've mentioned here before is called Jesus Calling. And they talk a lot about, it's a daily devotional book, and one of the things it talks about is thanking God in advance for answering your prayers and just knowing that He's got that plan. So when you said that, Aaron, that's what triggered that thought for me, is that yes, our world can be very discouraging, and we can get negative messages 24 hours a day. And that's why it's so critical today that as parents that we learn this and teach it to our children. And it is Bible-based, and it is faith-based. One of the books early on that I was first exposed to this was The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, I think is her name. You can get that at the library, and there's DVDs, and it talks a lot about visioning, and I know that's something that you also teach, and we've got about 5 minutes to talk about that, because Aaron does other things as a coach, and one of the things I know you have coming up is a workshop around visioning. And for those of you that aren't sure what I'm talking about, it's where you create a vision board, a board of pictures, words, and things that you want in your life. So can you talk to us real quick about the seminar you're going to have and tell the listeners a little bit about it?
Sure. The seminar is at the Marriott in Westchester, Ohio. It's on the 3rd of March, and it begins at 10 a.m. And if you want more information, then you can find me. I would say on Facebook is probably the best method right now, because our website is a little bit under construction right now.
Okay.
So my name is Aaron David Spiegel on Facebook, and you can find me and message me there, and I can give you more information on it. But essentially what it is you go in. A lot of people have heard of vision boards, and they're called dream boards or vision boards, but essentially it's exactly what you said. You take pictures and you cut them out and you put them, or words or phrases or, situations, and you can put them on this board, and you put the board somewhere in your place that you can see it. And it's not just that if you see it, you're going to achieve it all. I don't know that that's the case. I think that you still may achieve some of the things that are on there as a matter of focus and, seeing it. But you really do have to, put into practice some sort of imagination behind that. So I say meditate on it or pray on it, or like envision yourself into those situations as if they're already done. And that's, again, ask with faith and then thank God that it is already done. So this is this is what we were given by God to start directing. It's our ability to start directing our lives toward those things that that we would like. Yeah,
it's
matter.
And I think it's about taking control, and that's one step in taking control. Instead of just letting life happen, you try to put the things in your life that you want to happen. And if that's a new job, or if that's a promotion, or if that's a stronger faith family, if that's getting involved in your community because you want to make changes that you see need to be made, you can put all that in your vision board. And it's like taking those affirmations, writing it down, because people who write their goals down are more likely to achieve them. There's all kinds of data around that. And I think you're just a perfect example of the power behind believing in what you're thinking and working to continue to grow in that area and reading and studying. Because I think we can make changes in our lives, and we can grow to become the person that God wanted us to be. And we have to let go of our mistakes and move forward.
Right. One of the things that people do is they get caught up in what is.
And stuck there.
Yeah, the way things are is not just the way they are. What you see is not what you get. What you see in your mind is what you get. But what you see around you is not just the way it is. You're not stuck there. It's like that thing that, you're not a tree. You're not stuck in one place. You can move. You can change.
It's up to you.
Yeah, it is up to you.
Hey,
and
Robin?
until you know that it's up to you.
Yes.
Hey, I've got a caller with a comment on the line.
Okay, great.
All right, give me just a second. Okay, you're on the air.
Okay.
Hi. I
Welcome.
enjoyed your show in the past. Can you hear me?
Yes, I
Can you hear
can.
me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I can.
I enjoyed your show in the past. Tonight, this is New Age. The Secret is a New Age book. This is not Christian. This is not Catholic. And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your call. I respect your wishes. I'm sorry that you feel that way, but I appreciate you taking the time to call in and share your concerns with me. And I wish you all the very, very best. The purpose of this show is Christian-based, and I take that role very, very seriously. And so I will take your comments to heart.
I'm going to say that I agree with the caller in that it's not Christian, the book The Secret. And I would also say that Unlimited Power is not. And I would also say that Think and Grow Rich is not. But what I would say is that The Secret gives the fundamental principles of the Bible in a way that the masses can understand. So it reaches people that wouldn't have otherwise been reached in a way that in their language. So you can get it from the Bible, and I'll say, God bless you for that. But some other people, that may be the step that gets them to the Bible.
Well, it looks like we're about to wrap up. And as always, I like to close with a prayer. And first and foremost, Blessed Mother, I want to thank you for the honor and privilege to be part of Radio Maria and to be a Christian voice in our homes, in the homes of our listeners. I ask that for your prayers to help those who are struggling with job loss, for the families that have been devastated in Florida this week. May healing and grace and mercy be shed for them and for all those who are hurting and living in the midst of this pain and suffering. We know, Blessed Mother, that you take our prayers and our concerns to your Son so that he can work miracles in our lives. You've been listening to Radio Maria, a Christian voice in your home. God bless you and good night.